And we're live. Hello. In this video, you will get the basic idea of what supply chain is. We will look at the definition, examples, and in the description of the video, there will be more reading materials for those who want to read more about it. Okay, let's jump into it. The same as with logistics, supply chain can have many different definitions of what it is, but the differences here are much smaller, so the main idea is almost always the same. Supply chain is a network of different organizations or organizational activities working together to produce in the end a product that the customer will buy. If you look at this picture, you can see here three topics: procurement, operational management, and the consumer. They're divided into smaller ones, smaller activities, raw materials, inbound logistics, goods in warehouse. Then we have manufacturing, outbound warehouse, and outbound logistics. And in the end, we have our consumer. Now at the bottom, you can also see the demand. Demand is going upstream. Basically, demand tells everybody in the supply chain how much of each individual material they have to provide in order that the demand is satisfied. So for instance, if we are making bread, the person or the company that is giving the supply chain raw material is going to give us, let's say, wheat. Then we're going to have a manufacturer which will also need to, have enough ovens or wherever the bread is made to fulfill the demand that the customer needs. Supply chains are not easy to are not simple. They're not just linear. One manufacturer can have many different or be implemented in many different supply chains. The transportation can be different. It can be through air, through road, or through the sea. In the end, there can be specific distribution centers, different hubs, where the goods are delivered to the end by a last mile delivery to a specific retailer. To better understand the whole supply chain concept, we're going to look at an example. We're going to make our own supply chain. Let's say we want to sell wooden chairs. The first thing we need is a raw material supplier, and we're going to call our friend Johnny, that is a lumberjack, and we're going to say to Johnny that he needs to chop wood for us, and then we're going to call Steve, and we're gonna say to Steve, Steve, you're really good with your woodwork. Why don't you make me a chair a day? We're gonna get all the material from Johnny to you. You just make the chair, and we're gonna call our neighbor, I don't know, Jimmy, and we're gonna say to Jimmy to go to John and deliver his goods to Steve. Here's raw material, here's wood, and then in the end we're gonna package everything, store it in a specific distribution center, and then we're gonna call it IKEA and say, okay, IKEA, we're gonna deliver 5 wooden chairs per week to your distribution center. Okay, but the demand is gonna be greater. There's gonna be, our chairs are gonna be super good, and we're gonna be selling more of them. So IKEA gonna call us and say, you know what, the demand is weekly being raised to 20 chairs. So we're gonna call everybody in our supply chain. We're gonna call Jimmy, Steve, and Johnny, and we're gonna tell them that we need 20 chairs. So we're gonna calculate the amount of different resources we need, the time, and the amount of people we need to produce those 20 chairs. This is a very basic example idea of supply chain and how it works. So to recap, I'm just going to repeat the basic definition of a supply chain since it consists of all the important parts. When we talk about supply chain, we are talking about a network between different suppliers and a company with a goal, which is delivering goods to the customer.